Hello, I'm in the home of Julie Lovelock. Has I said it right?
Yes,
Lovelock.
yeah.
And she's going to be with us on the 18th of June, and she's going to show me some of her beautiful artwork. She's an amazing artist, and we're lucky to have her. And also I'm going to talk a little bit about what Julie does in the community and what she can offer. And you've been here quite a long time, haven't you, Julie?
Lived here 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
Have you seen some changes in Glastonbury?
I suppose, yeah. Although it happens so gradually, you don't
Yeah.
really kind of notice it.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah.
What's the biggest change do you think you've seen?
Well, I think the coming together of the community over the unity that Morgana brought together
Right.
a few years ago. There was
Right.
a kind of a unity ceremony in Chalice-Well, and I think that kind of really helped people a lot because
That's
it brought
good.
together a lot of the religions and things.
Yeah,
There's
that-
52 religions in Glastonbury.
Well, that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was part of that, representing
Oh,
light
that's
workers, which was
Brilliant.
fantastic. So as I said at the time, it made me fall in love with Glastonbury again.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Because there is some really wonderful, beautiful people in Glastonbury, and they're all tucked away, and that's what I'm trying to do,
Exactly.
is bringing them all out.
Well, that's yes,
'Cause
that
they know
you're part of that, which
You
is
know,
fantastic.
That's
Yeah.
lovely.
Mm.
But today we've come to look at some of Julie's artwork, which is exceptional, and so I thought I'd just let her guide us through what she would like to show us today. So,
Okay.
do you want to come and show us some of your work? Thank you.
All right, no, that's fine. Well, I've been painting for quite a few years, about 25 years. You know, that's when I started painting again. I painted as a child and a teenager, but I kind of started it, I reignited my passion for it about 25 years ago and painted in watercolours. But it was when I became self-employed 5 years ago to teach yoga and do my readings and things that I had more time for art. So I got out my set of oils that I'd been given by my husband for
Yeah.
our first Christmas
Yeah.
together and gave them a go. So the
Okay.
first painting that I completed in oils was this one here. It's the Somerset Levels from Borough Mump.
Oh, I love the purple one. That's beautiful.
That's it's a lot of people, but people are drawn to different paintings for their colours, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the first I completed, and that's when I really realised that I loved oils more than
Yeah.
anything because I love their colour and their
Yeah.
richness, and I
Yeah.
felt really comfortable with it.
Yeah, Yennis works with oils. It's a difficult medium to work with, but once you get the hang of it, I think you don't turn back, do you?
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
I started a painting when I was first given the oils, as I say, by my husband Gareth, and wasn't terribly confident with it. My children were little, so I didn't have the time.
Yeah.
So I put it away, and then when I'd completed this painting, I got that painting out again and finished it. So it was
Yeah,
15 years later, and this is it.
Wow, beautiful.
So that's Castle Rig Stone
And
Circle.
the way you've got the light coming in, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
lovely.
that took 15 years all in all. When
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
finished it, it didn't take that long, but you know, I'd got the bare bones of it started, and I like painting stones. I love painting nature.
Just carry on talking.
Yeah, so I really love painting nature and landscapes particularly. So that's really early on, so that was 5 years ago I painted that. But then more recently, so as it's next to it, this is the only kind of cityscape I've painted. So that's London. It's called London Light.
That's nice.
Thank you. So I particularly like the light and the sky and everything in that one. So that's that one. And then another more recent painting I've done is one right here. So this is from a photograph by Stephen Spraggan of, he called it Cinnamon Lane. So I kind of made it my own really and developed from that. So I call it Heart of Glass because
I love the way you've got the sky there as well. It's beautiful.
well, it's skies and water I love painting particularly.
Yeah, you can see that.
So
And the water's lovely as well.
so that's why it's called Heart of Glass,
Yeah.
because of the it being the heart centre
Yeah,
of
the heart
Glastonbury,
centre,
and the glass, the reflection, glass town. Some people think Glastonbury means glass town, although I have seen it written somewhere that it actually means where the woad grows.
Oh right.
But there you
well,
go.
they say it's full of mirrors, don't they? They
Yes.
mirror everything back that you need to learn. Isn't
Exactly.
It, really?
This
It's
is it.
It's an exceptional place, and if you've got anything going on in your life, I feel that they do tend to you know, it sort of like shows it up until you've dealt with it, really.
Yeah.
I think.
So I paint portraits as well. That's a more recent thing. I've only been painting portraits for a year. This is the second painting or portrait I did, which is of a bit of a hero of mine, John Lennon, which you might recognise. That kind of, the background kind of just happened. I feel that was a bit of a spiritual connection there. But and then a few months later, after seeing him at Glastonbury Festival, I painted the Dalai Lama here.
Okay.
Because I was so inspired by him at the festival.
Yeah.
When I painted this, I have to do these from photos, obviously.
Yeah, another wonderful man.
Well, exactly. So,
Who's that over there then? Who's this one here?
Oh, that's not painted by me. That's painted by Patrick Gamble. That's one of my spirit guides, actually.
Okay.
Well, that leads us actually nicely to this painting.
Oh, well,
so
I know Patrick.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, yes, he's a good friend of mine as well.
We came to the group with us. He's lovely, isn't he?
He's very encouraging of my painting as well, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this painting I only did within the past year, but this is the kind of one of the only paintings. I've got another one that I painted totally from my mind, what I visualise. So a kind of a spirit painting, I suppose. So it's based on a vision I had when I was about 19. I call it Venus in Furs because I was listening to the song Venus in Furs by the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
And I had this wonderful image of these ladies dancing in a kind of a harem. And I just felt I wanted to paint it, so I did. But interestingly, the figure in the middle, that's why it's got that kind of ethereal look to it, because I feel the figure in the middle is my spirit guide that
Can we
Patrick
show that?
painted.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Who I call Scheherazade.
This is one of Julie's spirit guides.
Yeah, I called her. She first came to me when I first started doing the yoga, and I call her Scheherazade. So, and that's when I first became aware of her. Yeah. And I had that painted by Patrick about 4 years ago.
It's lovely.
And that's who came through.
Yeah,
so, like, interesting that this must have been my first connection with her when I saw her.
It came through, didn't it?
Yeah, so. That's about 30 years ago.
Yeah, so
interesting.
No time up there.
No, exactly.
So is it right to go up?
Of course it is, yeah.
So you lead the way.
Yeah. So coming out here, I've got paintings all over the house. So I've got some watercolours in the hall here.
Indy. Sorry, we've got the dog in this video. So we had to bring my daughter's dog with us.
And I've got a dog and 2 cats, so it's a bit complicated. I'll put the light on so we can see a bit better. This is a painting I did for a wildlife artist competition, so it's quite a big one. And I call it Tickle My Chin, which is a bit of a joke, really, because can you imagine tickling a leopard's chin? But that's an Amur leopard. That's from a photograph by David Lawson, World Wildlife Fund photographer.
That's lovely.
So, yes, that's... I love animals, you see, so I paint what I love. My painting, all the work I do, because I teach yoga and I do readings and I do healing, they're all for helping other people, and I do some counselling as well. Yeah. But painting is for me, so that's how I heal me. So it's my real passion. So I'm wanting it to become about, you know, kind of. I'd like it to be a bigger part of my life, so which is why I'm kind of really promoting it now.
Can you turn the camera around a minute? I just want to show everybody. Just turn the camera around a minute. What? This is Indy, who's joined us, who's hot and bothered. But if we put her down, she will bark and chase Julie's cats. So she's involved today. Okay.
Indy. I can let Barney out in a bit as well, and then
so she's a bit.
Introduce Barney.
Okay.
Barney's got a big Facebook following, you see. So
has he?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I'll let Barney out soon. Okay. Once we've
wants to be filmed as well.
Yeah.
He's beautiful as well.
So coming upstairs now. In fact, it might be best to come right the way up, and then you can look on. So some paintings here I have. I'm a big fan of the Beatles. I've
Yeah,
always
that's
been very
wonderful.
inspired by the Beatles, and
Yeah.
particularly John Lennon. So
Yeah,
again, I
he's a
painted
peace
that.
worker, wasn't he, like
Yeah.
that himself.
Painted that recently. I call it Mother Nature's Sons. So it's
Oh.
combining my love of the Beatles and the landscape. That was taken from their last photo shoot, which was in the grounds of John Lennon's house. I kind of used different photos because the angle they're photographed that the only photo I had was in black and white. So I used a colour photo from another angle to get the colours, but the pose is the photo was in black and white. This is a fox that I call a fox in thought. I had done other fox paintings, but I've sold them to somebody local.
Yeah.
So I painted this one again, and
this is all with oils, isn't it?
yeah, all with the oils. I've got one acrylic downstairs, and I've got
Yeah.
some watercolour downstairs. I'll show you the acrylic when we let Barney out.
Yeah.
But this is from a photo by a Russian miner called Ivan Kislov,
Oh, right.
who takes photographs of foxes and nature in his spare time, and
Lovely.
he creates some beautiful photographs.
I love this one here on the.
This one here,
Yeah.
this is called Glade on the Beacon, and this is from a combination of photos of Dundon Beacon, which is just up the road, Compton Dundon.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a very magical wood. I love bluebell wood, so I went at the time of the bluebells, and there's a little.
I love bluebells.
Yeah, this
do
is a
love
little
them.
bridge here
Yeah.
that leads to a natural spring.
Yeah.
And this is a very special tree here that when you go around the other side, it's got a face carved into it. So,
Wow.
I took lots of different photographs, and it was a composite. I find it easier to paint from photographs with oils because oils take a long time to dry, so you have to leave them and go back to them.
It can be months and years, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would paint out in the open with watercolours, but it's not so easy to do it with oils.
Yeah.
This is, which one?
That one there?
This one here is called Lady of the Lake, and that's the River Brue, so just down beneath the Tor there.
Lovely.
And this is from a photograph by a friend of mine who's now living back in Australia, called Jess Morris.
Okay.
And this, if I see a photograph that really captures me, I will ask permission of the photographer if I can paint it. So. Again, it's got the water in it and the reflection that I love.
What about this one here?
Well, there's these two. They kind of go together. They're called Stony Skies version 1 and version 2. So there's a bit of a story, yeah. I took these photos of Stonehenge on the coach coming back from London with my daughter.
Okay.
So as we were coming home, the sun was setting, and I've just got to capture it. And my battery was dying on my camera phone, so I grabbed my daughter's and took the photos. Now I did this one first, and I did a base of acrylic, and it turned out like that, quite wild and immediate, and I wasn't very happy with it, but my husband and other people really liked it because they liked the energy of it. So I was like, okay, I'll leave it. I said, but I've got to paint it again to satisfy myself. So I then painted this one.
Yeah, that's lovely.
And so that's why that's version 2.
And once again, you've really worked with the light there, haven't you?
Well, it's one of my loves.
Yeah.
So that's why there's version 1 and version 2. So some people like this version, some people like this one. You usually find couples like them.
Yeah. With different personalities.
Yes. Now, interesting. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
These two I had up on display in the Stourhead Gallery, First View Gallery. So beautiful Stourhead down the road, which then brings us on to this painting, which is part of a series I'm doing.
I love that.
Which
I
is
really like
and
that.
this is Stourhead. So this is I call it Stourhead's Reflection Series, and this is November Mist.
Yeah, really good.
So, and that's from a photograph by someone called Simon, who kind of volunteers for the National Trust there. So I've got some more paintings here.
That's good, yeah.
Now, like I suppose all artists, they're just here behind you. So like all artists, I'm a bit.
I love that one.
I'm not terribly. I find, it takes me a while to feel happy with my paintings, even when I finish them. But if I'm going to have a favourite painting, it would be this one.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Which is
Do you know, it reminds me of when we go to, we did live in Holcombe for a little while, and it was like those trees as you're going towards Holcombe.
I've heard that.
Yeah, the woods and that.
I love tree tunnels. This is actually, it's called Dark Hedges, which is in County Antrim, Northern Ireland.
Oh, right.
And this has been used in Game of Thrones.
What, your paint?
No, this tree tunnel. It was filmed there, this road, called the King's Road in the end of Series 1.
Yeah.
It took me 7 months to paint.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Because I paint less in the winter, obviously, because I don't have as much light. And I did each branch individually per sitting, so it took me a long time.
But it's beautiful.
And once I'd finished it, I was like, I can't do that again. And I kind of changed my painting style after doing this one, because I freed myself up to paint a bit more. Not so
you can
intricately.
walk down that road looking at that.
Well, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I've added stuff in. I've done it again from a composite photographs. So changed
that one's
things.
lovely as well. It's going through the woods.
This is I call Into the Woods. So these are the woods where I walk my dog, Barney. So, and again, I love autumn and the colours of autumn. So, and again, I've got the sunlight coming through the trees. That's one of my favourite things. They're like my meditations that I do. I do meditations at the end of my classes, and I've got them on my website, and I always have the light shining. Again, this is the woods where I walk my dog, and I call this the Dragon of Coombe Hill Woods. Because this is a certain part of the woods where we come up round the corner, and I came around the corner and I had all these dragonflies flying around me, and so that's what inspired me to take this. So I photographed the woods and the trees, and I had a picture I had taken of a dragonfly previously and kind of put it on top. And if you look very closely, there's meant to be lots of other little dragonflies, but this is the focus on the main one. Okay.
Right. I'm going to go to...
If we go through here, I've got more paintings here. What I've been doing is building up my collection so that I can exhibit. So I had an exhibition at 100 Monkeys over Christmas.
lovely.
So I can actually now fill a room with my paintings. So this one here is called Jenny's Wood, and this is because it's some woods in Kent. I can't remember the name of them now, but my friend Jenny, who I met in hospital when I had my son, she took the photograph, and that's why I call it Jenny's Wood. So I've got a series of paintings named after girls, because this one here is called Emma's View.
That's nice.
So that's Emma's View, Merely Frosty. So that my friend Emma, when she lived in Mere, so Emma of Lazy Days, this was the view from her bedroom. So she took that photograph. You can sort of
feel
the frostiness.
Yeah, you can.
So, and I really love the sky in that painting.
Stones up there.
And then this is from a photograph I took at Stonehenge.
Lovely.
I love stone circles, as you can probably tell. So I like
those stones really well.
Thank you. So I like doorways. So this is kind of looking through the doorway. So again, this one was up in the first few gallery at Stourhead.
We're going through to her art studio now.
So yeah, this is where I paint. This is my second Stourhead painting I've done, which I completed not very long ago. So it's got no wire on the back, so it's not hanging on the wall, and it's still a bit wet in places. So this is, I've called it Pink Pantheon, because the pantheon that is reflected in the water is actually hidden behind the trees there. So I call this my wall of inspiration. Yeah. This is other people's artwork and things, including my daughter's, and certain photographs. You probably tell I like Johnny Depp from...
and you've got one of Dave Bowie over there.
So I've got one of David Bowie here. I was going to paint him anyway before he died, and then obviously he passed away the beginning of the year, so I felt compelled to paint him then, to have a go. So I call that a painting of David Bowie, because he's a painting for David Bowie, because he's done the song, a song for Bob Dylan.
Right. Okay.
So this is a painting for David Bowie. Russell Brand, because he was in town last year. Yeah. So I kind of paint local people as local celebrities. He did a good thing.
He did a really good thing.
That's why I painted him, because he got a local lad off the streets by helping him go into rehab. He paid for him to go into rehab.
That was a wonderful thing to do.
It was amazing. Benedict Cumberbatch up there. What I did was, the first painting, portrait I did was actually Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
Which is behind us. We'll have a look at that. And I realised that all the portraits I wanted to do, they were all looking face on at the camera.
Right.
So I went into my daughter's bedroom one day and she had a calendar of Benedict Cumberbatch up on the wall, and I thought, he's looking at the camera, I'm going to paint him. So that's actually what I was painting at the Synchronicity Arts Fair last year.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So I had
to see the finished.
Yeah. So, and then 2 more portraits up here. So Nicolas Cage on the right there. So that was the first portrait I did. That was actually meant to be for my sister-in-law Kathy, because she's a big fan. But she said, no, keep it, he might see it.
He's lovely, isn't he?
Yeah, and then on the left there's Johnny
Everybody
Depp.
loves Johnny Depp as well, don't they?
Yeah.
We've all had fun to see them.
So I really enjoy painting that one. And my daughter gets
it's a
me...
really good likeness as well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
well, again, it was from my calendar.
Yeah.
And my daughter gets me a Johnny Depp calendar every year. That's a bit of a ritual. This is another painting of the tour. I have done other paintings of the tour which I've sold. So, but this one is I call Winter Pilgrims, because if you look right over there on the right, there are 2 people going up the path wearing red and blue.
Yeah.
But this was from a photograph by a good friend of mine who lives in America, called Robert Markham. So he's coming over this summer. So he's a great photographer, and I liked the angle of and I like the wobbly path.
Yeah,
so
lovely.
Painted that.
And you've got lots of prints, haven't you? You can sell on the day.
I have. Yeah. I've got some prints up. Well, there's actually some up for sale in Hawthorns at the moment, in the Hawthorns pub. So there's some on the walls in there, and cards I've had made. Or you can go to my website. I'm actually in the process of changing my website. I've got a website for my therapies, but my art is kind of tagged onto it, which is www.julielovelock.co.uk, but my husband is in the process of making me a website dedicated solely to my artwork, which is julielovelockart.co.uk.
Okay. So should we go and see Barney?
Yes, let's go and see Barney.
I noticed you.
Well, there's I was given graphite pencils and charcoal by my father-in-law at Christmas, and so I sketched Barney when he was asleep next to me on the sofa. And then there's a couple of little paintings here. So there was one. This was the full moon on Christmas Day from a photograph up in I took up in Scotland. So I just did that quickly with some watercolours and the charcoal. And this is a little one here. It's called Cwtch, which means hug in Welsh, and this is for a series of cards, divination cards that a friend of mine is creating. So this painting is one of them. So this is a gift for her. It's waiting here for her, for Angie. So let's go and see Barney.
This dog's heavy.
Yeah. And I've got one painting in the room that Barney's in, which is another one that I did purely. It's kind of an inspirational painting. Okay. So I can show you that one.
Close. Right.
It is. There's a couple of my watercolours up on the wall here, actually, if you can see them.
Yeah.
So there's one of Scotland there, because my father-in-law lives in Scotland. And then this is Machu Picchu. But there's one painting in here, so where Barney is. This is, I call Castles in the Air. So I painted this.
Yes.
It's got the date on it because my cat was dying and I knew that she didn't have much longer, so she was nearly 21, and that's what I felt compelled to paint the week. Yeah, so
manifested that out there for her.
Yeah, lovely. Absolutely. So this is Barney. Barney, come this way.
Let's say hello to Barney. Hello, Barney. Who's in your phone today?
So yes, this is Barney. Barney's probably going to be more interested in indie at the moment.
Hello, Barney. Do you want to come and take...
Barney? Barney, look, there we go.
He's lovely, isn't he? Handful.
No, he's not. No, he's good. He just loves people and other dogs and cats and yes, he's a dog of love.
Does he
Barney?
want
not really.
No.
He wants to. He's got Labrador in him, so he tries to.
He has got a lovely vibe to him.
Yeah.
Lovely natured.
He's a double Cancerian.
Is
Sun
he?
and moon in Cancer, so he's a big
He
softie.
wants to be at home.
Yeah. Barney. He loves being in the woods. That's why I take lots of photos.
So that's where you.
Barney,
Would you
sit.
say that was where you connect with spirit mostly in the woods and
I suppose
yeah,
I do.
like
Yeah.
nature and that. Yeah.
In nature, very much
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a nature sprite.
Okay, yeah, lovely. Yeah. And your husband,
Yes.
he's in the band, isn't
He's
he?
in
That's
Lazy
gonna-
Days,
Yeah,
yes.
that's going to be it's going to be at the Synchronicity on the 18th. So that's lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to
Yeah.
have him playing
Yeah.
there while I'm there with my.
with your
painting
wonderful
stuff.
artwork. Well, thank you for speaking to me today and
No,
letting me know
thank
how
you.
That's lovely.
Thank you.
Okay, and looking forward to the 18th of June.
Yeah.
Bye.